They're 18-9 and are having one of the best years in the school's history.
Tennessee and Kentucky this afternoon here at Hudson Field. We'll be back to check the lineups in just a moment.
Looking good, Mr. McEnroe.
What are you, a comedian?
I meant your shave. It's very close.
Of course. I shave with Bic.
Yes, I've seen the commercial.
It's all true. Bic is beautiful, smooth, close, comfortable. How Bic does it for only 20 cents beats me.
And where do you spend all the money you save, Mr. McEnroe?
Tennis lessons.
Bic, the shave that saves.
Everybody's in the biscuit business these days. You've probably tried some of them and found some of them a little heavy. Mrs. Winter's biscuits are made from scratch all day with real buttermilk and made wonderful with steak, chicken, ham, sausage, bacon, eggs, cheese. If you've tried theirs, you need to try ours. Mrs. Winter's.
David Voss back with you at Lower Hudson Field, where we're waiting hopefully for the skies to clear and we can get underway with the big series between Tennessee and Kentucky. While Tennessee tries to stay alive in the Eastern Division, Kentucky is trying to catch Florida. The Gators, of course, lead the division as they usually do. Kentucky with a 7-4 record could get right into the race with 2 out of 3 or a 3-game sweep. They do have a veteran ball club, and here to introduce the starting lineups, the second baseman, Terry Ryan.
My name's Terry Ryan. I'll be playing second base for the University of Kentucky this afternoon. In the leadoff spot, we have Kevin Gothard playing right field. Our shortstop will be batting second. His name's Rick Campbell. At third base, we have Grant Ely. Our fourth hitter is first baseman Randy Clark. The DH is Mike Reggie Jackson Agnich. The number 6 hitter will be our catcher Dan Selhorst. Batting seventh will be the center fielder Scott Knox. I'll be in the 8th slot, and Wayne Abel will be closing it out, playing left field. The pitcher will be Paul Kilgus with a record of 2-3.
The Volunteers entered today's doubleheader with Kentucky with the best pitching staff in the Southeastern Conference. The Volunteers staff, led by Richard Rodriguez, is number 1 right now, but they'll face a Kentucky team that has several 300 hitters in its lineup today. Tennessee trying to stay alive, of course, in the SEC Western Division, and they need a very, very big weekend today, starting today against Kentucky. Now to give you the Volunteer lineups, the shortstop, Captain Ronnie Long.
I'm Ronnie Long, and here's today's lineup for the Tennessee Volunteers versus Kentucky Wildcats. Batting first and playing right field is Tommy Stamps. Batting second will be Alfonso Martin playing center or left field. Batting third, playing third base will be Bobby Gaylor. Batting fourth, Alan Cockrell playing center field. Batting fifth will be Pat Sullivan and catching. I'll be playing shortstop and batting sixth. Greg Newsom will be playing second and batting seventh. Terry Troutman will be the designated hitter. He'll be hitting eighth. And Tony Myers will be playing first base, batting ninth. And the pitching for today will be Richard Rodriguez with a record of 1-3.
So the lineups are set. The Tennessee Volunteers and the Kentucky Wildcats set for this big Eastern Conference series in the Southeastern Conference. Back with the first pitch of today's game in just a moment.
For being kind to me, to my friends a thank you song for being kind to me.
This was for all of those who ever wonder if your United Way gift is really appreciated.
Skies are clearing a bit here at Hudson Field, looking above the almost some sunshine ready to peek through as the grounds crew has been out putting some of the diamond dry on the field, and so it looks like things in pretty good shape as we set to begin this first game of a 3-game set between Tennessee and Kentucky. Richard Rodriguez taking his warm-up tosses. Richard is 1-3 on the season. He's been hurt though much of the year, trying to really regain his form of last season and made him one of the top pitchers in the Southeastern Conference. He threw pretty well his last time out against Florida, although he lost the game 5-3. He's thrown 22 innings, allowing 25 hits and 15 earned runs. He has walked 8 and struck out 12. This will be his 6th start of the season. Richard has a 6.14 ERA, which, David, is very, very high for him.
It certainly is, but one of the nicest things I saw with Richard was during the rain delay, Bob, he was praying that it would leave. I mean, he was anxious to go. He felt ready. And early in the season, when he did injure that ankle playing volleyball, you could see it just in his eyes and his disposition that he was down and he didn't have the will like he does now. So it was really encouraging, not just to see him that he's pitching better, but also to see him that he's eager and he's ready to hit the mound, because he was really ready to go during the rain delay.
Rodriguez says Kentucky does not have the strongest hitting team in the Southeastern Conference, although there are a couple of guys on the squad that he's really concerned about. One of those being Brant Ely, who was an all-SEC performer last year. Ely hit .422 last year, as he did .330 this year. Also, he's concerned about their new first baseman, Randy Clark, but he says basically if you keep the ball away from Kentucky and don't let them pull it, you got a pretty good shot of beating him. Rodriguez still on the mound warming up, and of course, with the bullpen being a little damp down there, I guess Richard is taking some extra tosses here on the mound as we're getting set to go. In the first inning, Rodriguez will face Kevin Gothard, the right fielder, then Rick Campbell, the shortstop, and Brant Ely, the third baseman. Coach of the Wildcats is Keith Madison in his 6th year at Kentucky. He played professionally in the Montreal Expo chain for a while. He was an assistant coach at Mississippi State before he came to Kentucky. We'll set Tennessee's defense for you. Bobby Gaylor at third base. Ronnie Long is the shortstop. Greg Newsom at second and Tony Myers at first. Pat Sullivan, the catcher. And the outfield left to right, Alfonso Martin, Alan Cockrell in center, and Tommy Stamps is in right field. The wind has died down a bit, it looks like. It was blowing very, very strong in from right field earlier. Now the flag is shifted a bit, blowing slightly in towards center, but not nearly as hard as it was about 20 minutes ago. So Gothard steps in with a .351 average in the first pitch. Ball low. Cockrell plays Gothard slightly around towards left in center field. Alfonso Martin very, very deep in left. Gaylor even at the bag at third base. 1-0 pitch. That's a breaking ball. Stayed inside, so it's now 2 balls and no strikes. Rodriguez, basically a fastball slider pitcher. He will throw a changeup. His best pitch has been the slider at times. Rodriguez pitches, now he's oh, that's a strike. 2 balls and a strike. I thought it was low for a second. Very important series for both of these teams. We talked about that in the opening. Florida leads the East with a record of 26-11. They are 10-3 in conference play. Kentucky is 18-9 overall and 7-4 in the SEC. Tennessee is 6-9 in conference play. So if Kentucky would come along and sweep Tennessee, or maybe even take 2 out of 3, the Volunteers' chances of getting to the playoffs would be very, very much crippled. Rodriguez misses on the 2-1 pitch. And now it's 3-1 on the leadoff batter for the Wildcats. .3-1 pitch. Strike called. So Gothard with a full count. He has 20 RBIs in the team. There are 6 300 hitters on the Kentucky squad. Gothard second on the team in hitting at .351. Randy Clark leads it at .355. Cockrell in a couple of steps in center field. The full count pitch. Stays alive. Just got a hold of a breaking ball down and in. Home plate umpire as Bruce Dornetti. On the bases, Mick Sharley, or Sharkey, and Terry Rory at third base. So we'll do another 3-2 pitch on Kevin Gothard to lead things off in the first inning. That's low. So Gothard draws a walk. That's the 9th walk issued by Rodriguez this season. And Rick Campbell steps up, their fine shortstop. Campbell was hurt early in the season, has bounced back from an injury to play a very consistent and steady shortstop for the Wildcats. .313 batting average. He's got 3 doubles to his credit, no triples yet. Gothard, a pretty good base runner, takes the lead against Rodriguez, who's got a very, very good move to first.
He certainly does, Bob. And we got to remind the folks that last year Rodriguez was 7-3 with a 2.37 earned run average as compared to 6 this year. So we know he can pitch. He's just gotten off to a rough start because of that injury. But last year an all Southeastern Conference performer. And it's mostly on control and mastery of his pitches.
Last time we saw him was against Georgia, and Richard just didn't have a whole lot on the ball. Didn't have a lot of velocity. Let's see how he does today. He walked the first batter to face him. That's outside. Evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. One of the SEC's better players, Brant Ely, waits on deck. Long and Newsom play about halfway at short and second. Look for the double play ball. Throw to first. They almost got him. Gothard might have been leaning just a little, but he scampered back. Tony Myers, number 14, plays at first, holding him on. The wind continues to blow in from center field. We'll hold up a ball hit that way. There's another pitch low. Now 2 balls and 1 strike. David, not a good start for Rodriguez, again falling behind.
No, it really concerns me because control, of course, is one of the things he does best. And if he doesn't have that good control, later he could get hit hard.
Rodriguez stretches. Throw to first. Again, Gothard gets back. Rodriguez, most people anticipated he'd be the ace of the staff, but Steve Searcy and Jeff Glover have been throwing very, very well so far for the Volunteers. Searcy, in fact, is 5-2 this year with a 2.26 ERA. 2-1 pitch. Didn't get a fastball.
Well, Searcy really has been saving the Vols and keeping them in the race by winning the Sunday game of the 3-game sets. He's one of the top 10 pitchers in the Southeastern Conference during this season. As you said, Rodriguez was considered the ace going in, but Searcy really has emerged as a premier pitcher on the team so far this year.
Russ Kibler of Florida has the most wins and also the most strikeouts in the Southeastern Conference. Kibler of the Gators with an 8-0 record, and he's also struck out 79. Count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Campbell. There's a bouncer off the plate, might be a tough play. It's a fair ball. Gaylor fires, didn't get him.
Oh, it was amazing how high that ball was off the plate. Hit the rubber part of the plate and just looked like a pop fly almost. And by the time Gaylor got the ball, the runner was only 2 or 3 steps from the bag, and it was a good throw. It just barely didn't get there in time.
Well, you couldn't fault either player, Gaylor or Myers. Tony made a nice long stretch, and Gaylor made a quick throw, but he just had to wait for it. And Campbell showed some pretty good speed getting down the baseline. So 2 on, nobody out as the sun peeks through at Hudson Field. Lots of activities today on the UT campus, and some people are starting to wander over to the baseball game. Ely bunts. Kind of a surprise. You got a guy hitting .330, you got him bunting. And I guess, David, that's shows you the importance of a 7-inning game and getting the lead early in it.
They want to jump out in front in a 7-inning game, but of course also when you have guys like Randy Clark hitting .355 and Mike Agnich hitting .309 behind him, moving him up to second and third with nobody out really is an asset.
Let's see if Ely does it again. Tennessee's infield looks for it, the bunt. And there it is, foul again. No balls and 2 strikes. So Brant Ely, evidently not used to bunting very often, couldn't get it down.
You know, it's hard to say whether it makes any difference, Bob, but with the 35-minute rain delay today, there was no infield practice. Also, Rodriguez's schedule, of course, and getting warmed up for this game was interrupted. But again, it's hard to say just how much effect it might have, but there was no infield practice today for either team.
0-2. Ooh, just missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gothard at second base. He got there on a walk, and at first base is Rick Campbell. He was on through an infield single. Rodriguez has now allowed 26 hits in 22 innings of work. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Breaking ball stays away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Randy Clark on deck. Wildcats trying to jump out in front in this first inning of the first game of the 3-game set. Here's the 2-2 again. There's a bouncing ball over Gaylor's head this time. Gothard around third. Martin charges, no play at the plate, and the Wildcats lead at 1-0.
Well, it's strange enough to see one of those high bouncers, but to see 2 in the same inning is very unusual. Another high chopping ball that this one goes over Gaylor's head.
There was a ball hit right out in front of the plate where it's evidently very, very hard and just zipped over Gaylor's head.
Even though we had rain before the game, the tarp was on the field, so it really didn't make the field, at least the infield, soggy at all. So it is still hard. Gaylor having no chance when the runner scores.
So the Wildcats have a 1-0 lead. They have 2 hits, and neither of them hit all that well, but it still counts as Kentucky jumps out in front. And now Randy Clark steps in. He takes one down the chute. No balls and a strike. Clark, a junior college transfer from Manatee, hitting .355. He's been red hot, too, lately. Rodriguez fires again, and it's high. In fact, in the last 8 games, Clark has 18 hits and 36 times at the plate. That's easy to figure out, a .500 average. 1-1 pitch. Bouncing ball towards short. Long. Flips to second. And they got the double play. David, that wasn't the easiest double play in the world either.
Well, a good quick turn by Newsom at second. That was the key because there wasn't too much Long could do about the slow bouncing ball except wait on it. He had to get it on the good hop. But in order to get Clark at first, Newsom had to make a very quick turn, a quick release, and that's what he did.
Another high chopper.
Here we see it again, a third straight high chopper, this one going over the pitcher's head. Long again with the quick hands, the good senior captain of the Vols, and the quick turn by Newsom made the play.
So 2-0 race, there's a runner at third. It's still 1-0. And the pitch to Mike Agnich is outside. He's their designated hitter. 5'9" senior, hitting .309 as he steps in. It's turned out to be a pretty pleasant day here in Knoxville now. Most of the threatening clouds have blown over. And Rodriguez steps off the mound.
You know, with all these high choppers going straight into the ground, you got to think that Rodriguez's fastball does have some movement, perhaps some sinking in it, or he's throwing a sinker to get him to do that.
Here's the pitch. There's a shot into right center field. Cockrell on the move and makes the catch. Lost his hat in the process, but made a nice grab on it. Ball was curving back towards him, and Allen stayed right with it. So Agnich is out, and the Wildcats are out in the first. But they jump out in front. A run on 2 hits, and 1 runner left. We've played a half inning, and Kentucky jumps out in front 1-0 with the Volunteers coming up.
Looking good, Mr. McEnroe.
What are you, a comedian?
I meant your shave. It's very close.
Of course. I shave with Bic.
Yes, I've seen the commercial.
It's all true. Bic is beautiful, smooth, close, comfortable. How Bic does it for only 20 cents beats me.
And where do you spend all the money you save, Mr. McEnroe?
Tennis lessons.
Bic, the shave that saves.
For thousands of women on campuses across this nation, an NCAA championship medal is a prize dreams are made of. A prize that puts each competitor at the top of the sports world.
The preceding message provided by the NCAA.
We start the Tennessee first inning. Tommy Stamps there in the on-deck circle, loosening up, getting ready to face Paul Kilgus, a Kentucky left-hander with a record of 2-3. Kilgus is making his 7th start of the season, his 9th overall appearance. He has a 4.23 earned run average. In 38 1/3 innings, the lefty has given up 43 hits and 18 earned runs and 25 bases on balls. Kilgus has been one of Kentucky's steadiest or consistent pitchers down through the years. Has never really been spectacular. He won 5, lost 3 in 1981. He was 6-5 in 82 and 6-5 again in 1983. And he's always been right up near the top in innings pitched for the Wildcats, and his ERA last season was outstanding at 2.39. This year he's up to 4.23. They just say he's not throwing quite as hard. Stamp steps in, and it's the first one foul down the right field line. Tommy comes in at 374. He's tied for the club lead in home runs with 4, and he's driven in 15. One of Tennessee's problems has been the lack of run scoring in crucial situations. Kilgus throws a curveball, and Stamps jumps on it and singles to left.
Well, Tommy Stamps has just quietly been having an outstanding year. While UT has struggled with a 6-9 SEC record, Stamps is number 10 in the conference in hitting with that .358 average, and he really has been very productive all year long and very consistent, Bob.
He jumped on that curveball. I think Kilgus got it up a little bit, and he's really lucky Stamps didn't hit it harder. But Stamps hit it on the button, got it to left field for the base hit. Here's Alfonso Martin. He takes a breaking ball away. Martin hitting .278 as he steps in. Stamps will steal a base, too, for you. We'll see what type of lead he gets against Kilgus, the lefty. One nothing Kentucky, and Martin takes it outside. Early in the season, John White, the Tennessee coach, basically went with platooning, lefties and righties against each other. Now he's going with Martin against the left-hander because Martin's been hitting the ball pretty well. He takes a fastball down the middle. 2 balls and 1 strike in Alfonso Martin.
And Martin is also a good man to follow Stamps, a left-handed pull hitter. He can bunt. He's got good speed. They can run the hit and run. He does a lot of good things with a bat.
Throw to first, and Stamps gets back. Stamps has stolen 6 bases this season. He's been thrown out twice. 1-0 Kentucky in the first. There's a bunt that's fouled off. Kilgus came sidearm that time, and Martin just barely ticked it. Kentucky defensively, Bran Ely at third base, Rick Campbell at shortstop, Terry Ryan at second base, and Randy Clarks at first. The catcher is Dan Selhorst. In left field, Wayne Abel. Center field, Scott Knox. And Kevin Gothard is in right field. And Paul Kilgus on the mound, throwing 2-2. There's another third base way. Tough play for Ely. Can't make it.
Hard to say whether he would have gotten him even if he made the play cleanly. We'll have to wait for the official score. And Martin gets down the line pretty fast from the left-hand side of the plate. But he did bobble the ball. And the point is there's 2 men on and nobody out.
Has to be a base hit. Again, Martin just hit it off the end of the bat. Ely did about all he could do, just come in and try and grab it.
Well, he got jammed, and he hit it off the handle down the third base line. He was obviously trying to hurry the play, and I think they're going to give him a hit. They did.
I think if he would have come up with it, he would have had a tough time throwing out Martin on the play. So Tennessee's got something going in the first inning. 2 on for Bobby Gaylor. Bobby, the Volunteers' third baseman. Let's see if the Volunteers play the big inning here. They're going to bunt. Selhorst corralled the inside pitch.
Well, it is kind of interesting that both teams with runners on at first and second and nobody out in the first inning have gone to the bunt with their number 3 hitter. It is unusual, but I think it's a reflection of the 7-inning game, like you said, and trying to jump on the lead, particularly when there's a threat of rain.
There goes the bunt situation, and it's a strike called as Gaylor took it.
Well, defensively, what Kentucky did is they faked the pickoff at second with the shortstop, and the third baseman then charged, and the shortstop had to hustle on over to third. It almost looked like somebody was trying to steal a base, Bob.
Yeah, Campbell went breaking over there. They tried to get it so Ely would have a play at third base to cut down that lead runner. Let's see what they do this time. They're not doing it. Pitch is inside.
Well, of course, in a lot of situations like that, the third baseman is holding, so the hitter is trying to bunt the ball down the third base line to make the pitcher field it. So the defense actually conducts a scheme to make the hitter think that the third baseman is holding, and then he charges.
2 hits for Tennessee in the first inning. Nobody out. It's 2-1. Now it's 2-2. Gaylor swung through a fastball. Talking with Alan Cockrell before the game about Kilgus, he said he's kind of surprising with the fastball. He said most people think he doesn't really throw it that hard, but he said he gets up there pretty quick. He'll keep the ball away from you, move it around a lot. A very smart pitcher. 2-2 pitch. Gaylor fouls it off.
Gaylor is one of several Knoxville players on this Tennessee team, Bob. He played on the 1982 Tennessee 3A state championship baseball team at Farragut, and then he went to Rowan State to play for a year before coming on with UT, and he's been a starter all season at third base.
Count is even now on Gaylor. Alan Cockrell, the volunteer cleanup hitter, waits on deck. There's a bouncing ball foul. Ely took a look at it, but it went foul down to the third baseline.
That slider of Kilgus, which is what Gaylor just pulled down that line, looks pretty tempting from here, Bob. He takes a lot off of it, and if the Tennessee hitters can adjust to it, they should be able to hit it. It's up a little bit, and it doesn't look like it's breaking too sharply.
He has had the ball up, that's right. See what he does here, 2-2. He's been throwing Gaylor some breaking stuff. There it was again. And it's high and outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Excellent bat control. That looked awfully tempting, coming in there the size of a watermelon, the changeup, but it was out and away, and Gaylor held back, particularly when he had seen 2 sliders come in on him that time, but that one did not break. It stayed outside.
3 balls, 2 strikes. The runners don't go, and the pitch is right back to Kilgus. He's got to play at third. He doesn't have a play at first. The throw was low over there. Nice play by Clark to keep it from skipping into right field. Not an error on the play, because Ely got it out at third base. So it goes 5 unassisted, and the runners stay at first and second. Ely sort of rushed the throw a little bit, David.
Well, Kilgus made the smart play, of course, getting the lead runner, keeping him off third base with less than 2 out. They did have a shot at the double play, but it's a long throw from third to first.
So now Alan Cockrell steps up. Runners at first and second still. Alfonso Martin is at second base. Bobby Gaylor is at first for Cockrell, who's hitting .301. I know Allen's a bit disappointed with the average, but realistically, he hasn't seen a whole lot of good pitching. They've been sort of throwing around him a little bit, and Allen said it himself, he hasn't been all that disciplined at the plate. He swung at some bad pitches. There's a breaking ball over for a strike.
Well, the word got around the league that the whole league that Allen had trouble with the off speed and the breaking pitch, and he's probably seen only 5 fastballs all year.
No balls and 1 strike. Cockrell fouls off a fastball.
Of course, he's the guy that they're counting on for the runs batted in. He does lead the team with 22, but he's also left a lot of runners on base in key situations.
Cockrell with 22 runs batted in. There's some other guys with a lot more than that. For example, Will Clark of Mississippi State has 56, to give you some kind of idea. There's a pitch outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Allen was over at football practice a little bit yesterday, keep tabs on the football team. There's a fastball inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tennessee had some hitting practice early, so Allen walked over and watched the scrimmage yesterday. Still debating his football and baseball career, what he wants to do. 2-2. Check swing. Did he go? He sure did.
Once again, it was the breaking pitch, Bob. It was a good pitch. You know, Kilgus got it where he wanted to. It started right down the middle and looked very tempting, and it suddenly broke sharply right around his right knee. And he tried to hold up, but it was too late.
Cockrell tried to pull it back, but couldn't do it. And he's rung up by home plate umpire Bruce Dornetti. So now 2 outs in the Volunteer first, and it's going to take a 2-out hit by Pat Sullivan to keep it going. Sullivan, the Volunteer catcher, hitting only .175.
He's a transfer from Sacramento City College in California. They did expect better things from his bat, but his defense has come around. He's playing good ball and controlling the pitchers.
1 ball pitch, a big breaking ball right over. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's a veteran Kentucky team. They've got a lot of seniors out there. Kilgus is one of those on the mound. So he's been through these SEC wars before. 1-1 pitch coming up to Pat Sullivan. There's a shot into center field. Knox going back, still going, and makes the catch. Wind held it up a little bit. Sullivan hit it pretty good, but Knox was able to run back there and grab it right in front of the warning track. So Tennessee threads in the first. Opening singles by Stamps and Martin don't produce anything. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. We go to the second inning. Kentucky leads Tennessee 1-0. Big, strong right-handed hitter. He cracked that one pretty good. Martin going back on the warning track, and that's out of here. Rodriguez got that one up a bit. Too far. Sellhorst jumped right on it, and Kentucky suddenly leads the game 2-0. I don't care how strong the wind was blowing on that one. He hit it pretty good. And Sellhorst has home run number 3 on the season, his 10th RBI, and the Wildcats have a 2-run cushion.
Well, Sellhorst gets his 3rd home run of the season, and last year he had a disappointing year, hitting .250. It was a season he'd like to forget. But suddenly this year now he's doing much better, both offensively and defensively, and he got all of that one.
Yeah, Rodriguez got it up, and Selhorst jumped on it. Here's Scott Knox, the center fielder. Pitch inside. Again, David Rodriguez doesn't look all that sharp to start things. Knox at 278. There's a chinker into shallow center field. Cockrell coming on, waves everybody away, makes the catch. Knox got jammed on it. Rodriguez made a good pitch, and Knox is the first out of the second inning.
Very important that Rodriguez get ahead of the count. That time he jammed him and got him in on the handle. If he's behind in the count, he still does not have that overpowering fastball that he can get out of the jam. As long as he's ahead, he can put the pitches where he wants. He'll get even the big hitters to do what he wants them to do.
That was the fourth home run given up by Rodriguez as Cockrell, as you see the replay, makes the catch on Knox's fly ball. Here's Terry Ryan. He hits the first one right at Bobby Gaylor. So there are two quickly out here in the second inning. But David, again, they hit the ball right on the butt.
He's got the ball up a little bit, too.
First inning, they were beating it into the ground. The second inning, they're hitting it in the air. Here's Wayne Abel, the Wildcat left fielder, 279 his average, and Rodriguez's first pitch is fouled back. Kentucky now with 3 hits, Tennessee with 2, but the Wildcats have made their 3 hits count for 2 runs. Top of the order, Kevin Gothard waits on deck. Fastball stays away. Guess we need to take time to congratulate Pete Rose on his tremendous accomplishment yesterday in Montreal, that 4,000th hit. Here's the pitch. Outside. You know, you look at it, to get 4,000 hits, you'd have to average 200 hits for 20 years. That's quite an accomplishment. Here's the pitch. Check swing. When you look, Dale Murphy, I was checking the stats this morning, Dale Murphy in his MVP year 2 years ago only had 168 hits. And they said Murphy had one of the great years of all time. 3-1 pitch, swung through a fastball.
It's almost unimaginable. And he's done it in 21 seasons, and wasn't it 22 years for Ty Cobb to get the record? So
Yeah.
Pete, if he gets it next year, will do it within the same amount of seasons.
Here's Rodriguez, 3-2 pitch with 2 outs, and he got him. Threw it away from him, and Abel didn't get it. First strikeout for Rodriguez. Good ending to the second inning for Rodriguez after the home run he gave up to Selhorst. Second inning for the Wildcats, 1 run on the 1 hit, the home run by Selhorst. Nobody left on base. Go to the bottom of the second inning. The Wildcats now on top, 2-0.
For the Southeastern Conference Eastern Division race is really heating up. The big battle right now is for second place, really. Florida has only 2 losses on the season, although Kentucky definitely does have a chance of catching them if they can win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 here against UT. Tennessee really has its backs to the wall, Bob. There's really just a no-choice situation here. They've got to pick themselves up and win at least 2, and preferably 3, of course, because Vanderbilt is still in the race for second place as well. In fact, they're 6-7 on the season, whereas Tennessee is 6-9. So they really have to come back here in order to get back in the race.
Bottom of the order will start things in the second inning for the Volunteers. Ronnie Long, the captain of the team, steps in at 264. He leads second on the team in triples with 2. Alfonso Martin has 3. And Kilgus' first pitch is a fastball on the outside edge. Ronnie thought it was outside. No balls, 1 strike. Volunteers still have a couple of SEC series left. Long cracks it into right field, but there's Gothard. Drifts with it and makes the catch. Ronnie went the opposite way. Hit it pretty well, but Gothard was able to drift back, and again, the wind blowing in from right a little bit held it up just a tad. 1 out in the second. And suddenly, Kilgus, after giving up those first 2 hits, has retired now 4 in a row.
And we take a look at it again. Long has been really hitting much better this season than he has in the previous years. He's always been known as a good defensive player, but he's been hitting very well this year.
There's Newsom bouncing one through the right side for Tennessee's 3rd hit. Newsom, a left-handed hitter, stayed with it and picks up the Volunteers' 3rd base knock. They've all been singles.
Newsom was another one of those players who was expected to be platooned at the beginning of the season, but he's a left-handed hitter who's starting against a left-hander. And it looks like Coach White is simply going with the best bats that he can get in the lineup, and there he bounces one through for a hit.
Terry Troutman steps in. Terry is the DH this afternoon. Terry hasn't made that many trips to the plate this season. He's hitting .250, but he's only been up 24 times. So Newsom will take his lead off first. Greg has stolen 3 bases this season. He's been thrown out 3 times. Tony Myers, the Volunteers' first baseman, waits on deck. Newsom doesn't take a very big lead. That's a strike to Troutman. Randy Clark holding on Newsom at first base as Kilgus looks into his catcher Dan Selhorst to get a sign. That's a fastball staying inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Kentucky's defense just about straight away, although Abel is deep and left. That's a big breaking ball on the outside edge. 1 ball and 2 strikes. David Kilgus not afraid to throw that breaking ball, is he?
No, he sure isn't. He's throwing it probably more than 50% of the time.
1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a off-speed pitch that Troutman just got a piece of at the plate. Count holds at 1-2.
Yeah, he's also doing a good job of holding the runner, even though he hasn't even gone over there. He has kind of a tricky move, both pitchers do, and it's going to be difficult for either team to steal as long as the starting pitchers are in there. But with all that off-speed stuff, you got to think that Coach White is going to be thinking about it.
Talking to some of the Kentucky people before the game, they said Kilgus just hasn't had the great velocity this year that he's had in the past. There's a pop-up foul back this way. And a count holds at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Crowd continues to file in. You see some of the students sitting along the first base line up on the hill. There's some down in the bullpen area down along third base. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Troutman says that's too long.
Well, there's a lot of activity on Super Saturday here at the UT campus with the dogwood relays over at the track, and also Vanderbilt in town to play in a big tennis meet. And it's a good day to be outside watching sports at UT.
1-2 pitch, bounced to third, but it's going to be foul. Ely over there to field it. And we'll do it again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tennessee will have a couple of more SEC series is coming up, and the Volunteers really, if they have any hopes of winning this, they've have to still play Georgia, and then they close the SEC campaign against Vanderbilt. They'll play Georgia on April 28th and 29th in Athens, and they close the SEC season on May 5th and 6th here against Vanderbilt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Throw to first. Newsom gets back. Greg has not really made an attempt to steal yet. Kilgus has kept him right on base. 1 out in the inning. Another throw to first.
Well, it's interesting to know Kentucky still has to play Florida later in the season, Bob, so it could boil down to the second place finisher would be that Vandy Tennessee series here in UT. The winner of that series perhaps winning second if Tennessee can do well here and Florida beat Kentucky.
Count is now even on Terry Troutman. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out in the inning. And Newsom takes his lead off first again. There's a curveball bounced to third. Ely stays with it. 1 at second. Nobody at first. As Troutman got down the line and beat the throw. Ball was not hit that hard. Ely did a good job of getting it to second base, but Ryan just couldn't get a whole lot on the throw. So Tennessee is still alive in the second inning, but now there are 2 outs.
Actually, it was very good defense to get it that close. As you said, the ball was not hit well. And again, it's the release, the quick release of the third baseman Ely and Terry Ryan, one of the leaders of this Kentucky ball club. It was not a tailor-made double play ball, and Troutman with good speed just barely beat it.
Here's Tony Myers, the Vols' first baseman. He takes that big breaking ball over again for a strike. Tony has really struggled a bit at the plate this year. 207 is his average. He's hit a home run. He's got 4 runs batted in. Throw to first, and Troutman dives back in. Kentucky leads it 2-0 as we play in the bottom of the second on now a sun-baked afternoon here in Knoxville. Bouncing ball foul. Myers went inside out on it, hit it down the first baseline. No balls and 2 strikes. Tennessee coached by John Whited. This is 3rd season with the Volunteers, a record of 70 wins and 47 losses. Looking to get Tennessee into the playoffs again this year. 0-2 pitch. Myers fouls it off his foot. No balls, 2 strikes. Kilgus is 6'1", senior, 172 pounds. Looking for his 3rd win of the season. Trying to even his mark at 3-3. Kentucky's outfield has swung around now to the right for Myers, who has not been able to pull the ball. There's a pitch high, 1-2. In fact, Gothard is way over in right field. There's a pretty good gap in left center field if Myers could pull one.
Well, these two teams have already played 3 times this year, Kentucky winning 2 out of 3, so they know each other pretty well.
There's a pitch outside. Well, he just had a shot of the outfield alignment with Knox in center and Gothard in right field, and you saw how, there they are, how far around to the right they are from Myers, and that big gap in left center field. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. He got him with that slow breaking pitch. 2nd strikeout for Paul Kilgus. Tennessee again gets a hit in the inning, but they can't do anything with it. The Volunteers leave their 3rd man on base. We've now played 2 complete, and the Kentucky Wildcats still lead the Tennessee Volunteers 2-0.
Far given up 3 hits, and he struck out 1 and walked 1. He's been up and down with his control, hopefully settling down here as we move into the top half of 3rd. Kentucky leads 2-0.
Line score through the first 2 innings. The Wildcats have 2 runs on 3 hits and no errors, and the Volunteers no runs, 3 hits, no errors. The Volunteers, one of the big stats, they've already left 3 runners on base. Kentucky will send up the top of the order here in the 3rd inning, and to tell you about it, David Voss.
That means Kevin Gothard will be up, the right fielder. He walked in the 1st inning and ended up scoring a run, hitting .351 for the season. Rodriguez usually with excellent control, throws high. The walk in the 1st inning did cost him. The wind keeps shifting around. Now it's moving from right to left. Before it was blowing straight in on the hitters. That one's low and away, and it's 2-0. Clouds have been in and out all day. Showers are in the vicinity, but we haven't been hit hard. We had a little bit of a shower just before the game as the count moves to 3-0. And the game was delayed for 35 minutes, but it looks like we'll be able to get this doubleheader in today. A single game wraps up this 3-game set in the series against Kentucky for the 1984 season tomorrow at 1:30. There's a strike. 3-1 now to Kevin Gothard. Gothard is a senior, 5'11", 180-pounder from Ashland, Kentucky. And he draws his 2nd walk of the game. That'll bring up Rick Campbell, the shortstop. He singled in the 1st inning and ended up on 3rd base. Campbell, .323 on the season. He's a junior from Bowling Green, Kentucky. As Rodriguez steps off the rubber to get some rosin, take his time. Nobody out here in the top half of the 3rd inning. Kentucky trying to get something going again. They've scored 1 run in both of the first 2 innings so far as the bunt is foul off the bat of Campbell. Once again, Coach Madison going to the sacrifice early in the game, and now despite the fact that they're up 2-0, so he definitely believes in the bunt. Madison is in his 6th year as mentor of the Wildcat baseball team. An 0-1 count now to Campbell. A high fly ball, medium right center field. Looks like Stamps is going to call for it and makes the grab. So there's one gone in the inning. Looked like he jammed Rick Campbell. Got him on the high fly to Stamps and right. I'll bring up Brant Ely, the third baseman for Kentucky. .340 hitter on the season. Runner Gothard still at first. Moved to first, not in time. They're playing it safe at first. They know Rodriguez has a good move over there. High chopper. Newsom. Easy double play. Taylor-made, didn't even have to make the flip at second as Newsom simply takes one step on the bag to force the runner Gothard at second and throws to first to double up Ely. So Rodriguez gets out of it after a leadoff walk as we look at it once again. Couldn't have been hit to a better spot. Newsom with the good turn and the strong throw to Tony Myers at first base. We move now to the bottom half of the third inning and our score Kentucky 2, Tennessee nothing.
University of Tennessee baseball camps will be coming up this summer for youngsters and baseball players in the area. First camp will be on June 4th through the 8th, and that'll be a morning camp for youngsters 9 through 12. Then on June 15th or June 10th through the 15th, baseball players 11 years old to 14 will be accepted, and then on June 17th through the 22nd, seniors to be in high school will be accepted along with other area baseball players. For more information about the University of Tennessee summer baseball camps, you can call the UT Athletic Department in Knoxville at 974-1214. The Volunteers come up in the bottom of the third inning, top of the order, trying to get something going.
And it's Tommy Stamps, the leadoff man, will start things off for the Vols. Stamps also led off in the first inning with a single, now leading off here in the third. Kilgus really has a slow-moving curveball. That one's inside for ball. It's 2-0. It's fooled a lot of Tennessee hitters. He does not have the great fastball, though. There's that fastball, and it's ball 3. Tommy Stamps, a fine, consistent hitter for the Vols. That one got the outside corner, and Stamps gives it a smile. Probably reminding him that it's not automatic, but a count moves to 3-1. And he's on with a walk. So Stamps does his job and gets on board. It brings up Alfonso Martin, the left fielder. Both teams have done a good job of getting the leadoff man on. Kentucky has done it in all 3 innings, and Tennessee has done it in 2 out of 3. There's a move over to first.
You know, Kilgus has walked a lot of guys. This is his 26th walk in now 46 innings. And that's quite a few to be putting on base.
Martin looks as if to bunt, but takes it for a ball. Kilgus having some control problems, a senior left-hander. Again, trying to bunt, fouls it straight back.
Interesting philosophy and strategy here. You're down by 2, but Coach Whitehead, I guess, knows that he's got to get somebody in scoring position, hopefully to make it a 1-run game. And then so what he's doing is just playing for 1 run at a time. He's not going for the big inning right now. He's just trying to get somebody in position so he can have his big guns coming up and maybe drive somebody home.
Another throw to first base. I think it's also respect for that move to first base. Stamps has stolen 6 bases out of 8 attempts. He's a pretty good base runner, but rather than take a chance with a steal, he's had Martin bunting so far.
Neither team has successfully bunted today, though.
Now he's hitting away. Bouncing ball. Nice play by the first baseman. Flip over to Kilgus, and he gets 1 run. Randy Clark made a diving stab of that high bouncing ball. Had no chance to get Stamps at second, but he was able to flip to Kilgus, and there's 1 gone in the inning. serves the same purpose as a sacrifice.
Well, Martin did his job. He hit the ball on the right side of the infield to get the runner up. But I tell you what, Randy Clark might have, I don't know if he saved a run or not, but he sure made sure that Martin or Stamps didn't get to third base. That's just a great play by Mr. Clark.
Not only a good hitter, but an excellent fielding first baseman.
That was a big league play right there.
Bobby Gaylor will stand in now with a .319 average. Gaylor from Knoxville. One gone in the bottom half of the third inning. I tell you, in this tight race, this tight SEC race, it's those kinds of plays that make the difference, Bob. A lot of these teams are very evenly matched. It's who comes up with the big play at the right time that makes a difference. I've seen race after race in these two divisions in the SEC come down to plays just like that. Stamps at second base, gets his lead. That slow slider or curveball comes in for a ball to Bobby Gaylor.
Well, that play right there, instead of having a runner at second base, you might have had runners at first and third, or maybe even second and third. So that makes the complexion totally changed. I noticed the wind is now picking up again. It's blowing pretty good in from right field, and there's some threatening clouds coming overhead, so we might want to batten down the hatches.
Looks like it's going to be in and out all day.
There's
showers
the flag in center field.
Showers have made the layups, but most of the showers probably aren't the kind that'll completely rain us out. And there's a long fly ball out to left field. Wayne Abel drifts back and is able to make the play. Gaylor hit it pretty good, but Abel got a good jump on the ball and was able to haul it in. You could see that the wind fooled him momentarily and gave the crowd a rush, but he was able to track it down.
Abel came in on the ball and suddenly had to get back on it real quick. He hit it right on the button. Looked like a fastball over the plate. Abel came in, then broke back, but was able to stay right with it. And he holds Tommy Stamps at second base.
Runner still in scoring position for Alan Cockrell. And again, Cockrell comes up with runners on base. And there's the breaking pitch for a strike. You just know that that's what Cockrell's going to see. He should be able to absolutely guess that that's what he's going to get. Of course, on the first pitch, you don't want to swing unless it's a good pitch to hit. 0-1 the count, 2 gone, bottom of the third. Alan Cockrell up. Another slider, this one breaking inside and low.
Allen said he has not been the most disciplined hitter at the plate this year. He has swung at some bad pitches, especially early in the season on some 3-0s. And he just said he's been a little bit over anxious, waiting for the fastballs.
The 1-1 pitch, high, inside, and it goes to 2-1. Well, last year he led the team in home runs with 14 and had 46 runs batted in with a .318 batting average. So his reputation got around. And this year the league's pitchers are a little bit better prepared. And with Tennessee not having the big hitter behind him, they've been able to pitch around him. That really is a big factor. They talk about pitching around hitters. What that means is if you've got the great hitter behind him, you can't afford to walk a guy like Cockrell because that brings up another good hitter. But when you don't have the great hitters behind him, you don't give him anything good to hit. It's not really too great a sacrifice to go ahead and put him on base. 3-1 is the count now to Allen.
Allen turned it pitching very carefully to him.
Allen with just 4 home runs this year, well off last year's pace. Actually, you'd think Allen would have improved dramatically because he had stayed out of baseball a year before last year, was really more into a football kind of shape. But I think the big difference this year is the way the pitchers are throwing to him, and Allen having trouble with that breaking stuff. Tom Stamps and pitcher Kilgis playing cat and mouse between second and the mound. Swung on and missed, strike 2. And there's a perfect example, even with the 3-1 count, way behind on the hitter, he's still got the breaking pitch. Now it's a full count with 2 gone. Another breaking pitch, called strike 3. 6 pitches to him, all of them breaking pitches, and Cockrell strikes out with another runner in scoring position. In the inning for Tennessee, no runs on no hits. There was 1 walk. No Kentucky errors, and 1 man left on base. Our scores, we've completed 3 from Hudson Field. Kentucky 2, Tennessee nothing.
first baseman, Randy Clark.
And we move into the top half of the fourth inning to lead things off for Kentucky, Randy Clark. And here's Bob Kessling to tell you about it.
All right, thanks a lot, David. The job for Rodriguez is just to hold the Cats until the Volunteers can get some runs. And Rodriguez throws a strike to Randy Clark. Clark, again, the last inning, made a great play at first base to really throttle Tennessee's attempted rally. 1 ball and 1 strike on Randy, who went into a double play his first time up. That ended the Kentucky doings in that first inning as the Wildcats got a run. They also got a run in the second inning on the home run by Dan Selhorst. 2-0 Wildcats as we play in the fourth inning of this 7-inning game. So Tennessee has got to not let Kentucky get any more and then hopefully come up with some offense of their own. Swing and a miss. Good slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Randy Clark. Tennessee's outfield plays just about straight away. Cockrell, medium depth in center field. 2-2 pitches in the dirt.
I was reading an interesting note, Bob, in the baseball guide for Kentucky. You know, before the season starts in the Southeastern Conference, all the teams except perhaps Florida have a lot of weather problems. Well, up in the Bluegrass area, they managed to work out in a horse auction. It's called Tattersalls, which is 3 blocks from the UK campus and adjacent to the Red Mile Harness Track. And it's where they usually sell horses, but they also work out baseball there, and it gives them plenty of room to do that.
Strike 3 called on Clark. Took a pitch on the outside part of the plate, and Rodriguez racks up strikeout number 2. Clark thought it was outside, but that doesn't matter. So 1 down here in the fourth inning. And after the home run to Selhorst to lead off the second, Rodriguez has settled down and is not allowed a hit. He gave up a walk, but that was erased by a double play. And here comes Mike Agnich, the designated hitter. He hit a fly ball to Cockrell his first time up. 3 hits for the Wildcats. There's a fastball down the pipe. Good. Count us at level at 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good to see Rodriguez strike out Clark like that. Such a fine area. It seems to be getting stronger, Bob.
1-1 pitch. He's got a lot more velocity, it looks like, right now. You're talking about working out in the cold weather up there. I was up doing a basketball game, I guess in February, and they had gone to the football practice field and had shoveled the snow off it, off the AstroTurf, and they were out there practicing their infield and doing other things. So they've been working hard. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and the pitch is low at 2-2.
I can remember during playing days at Mississippi State when we played in an old aluminum building with no heat. The old wood nest. The
2-2 pitch. There's a bouncing ball, base hit. Myers plays a long way off the line at first base, but couldn't catch up to that one as Agnich gets his first hit of the game, and the 4th for the Wildcats.
Well, as Keith Madison has really brought Kentucky into the fold in SEC. As we look at it again, it was a pitch out and away, but he managed to pull the ball. Actually, just a routine grounder that found a hole. It had eyes on it, as they say.
Newsom couldn't run it down, and so now Dan Selhorst, the guy who last time up hit a home run, steps in with Agnich at first base. Dan now hitting .281 as his average jump 13 points. He's got 3 home runs now, and the pitch is outside. 10 RBIs for Selhorst. Rodriguez will throw to the plate, and Selhorst takes it low again. Now the decision you have if you're Kentucky, you send Agnich, take a chance of him getting thrown out, or you, plus with Selhorst at the plate, you got the chance for the double play. So Selhorst didn't offer the bunt. Agnich isn't running, and the pitch is low. 3 balls, no strikes. So Rodriguez starting to dig himself a hole here. Needs a strike on the 3-0 pitch. Didn't get it. And now runners at first and second with 1 out for Scott Knox.
Well, sometimes you can get too careful. Selhorst, of course, hitting the home run last time. I'm sure Rodriguez was pitching very carefully to him. Then he got himself in a hole and couldn't get out of it.
That's the 3rd walk issued by Rodriguez. And now Scott Knox is up. Scott also hit a fly ball to Cockrell in the second inning. So So Rodriguez, after pitching strong in the second, third, and the beginning of this inning, is now having problems with control. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
Which boils down to a problem with consistency, Bob, and that's the way it's been since the injury, where he's trying to work himself into shape, and he'll have flashes of last year's brilliance, then he'll go back into mediocrity and the control problems. And he has to have good control to be an effective pitcher. He doesn't have the overwhelming fastball, and last year when he was an all-SEC performer, he did rely heavily on the control.
Sullivan and shortstop Ronnie Long come out to have a little conference with Rodriguez. 1 out of the inning, but there are 2 runners on base. That's Agnich standing down at second base, and Selhorst is off at first. Cockrell swung around towards left center. Martin very deep in left. First one is cracked into right center field. On the move is Stamps. He's got a play. Tagging at second is Agnich, and he goes back. Nice strong throw from Tommy Stamps, holds the runner at second base. And Rodriguez now has 2 outs in the inning, and Terry Ryan steps up. Stamps played that ball pretty well. The wind was blowing straight in from right field, and Stamps stayed with it. Made the catch and made a quick throw back into the infield. Terry Ryan, his first time up, hit a shot right back at Bobby Gaylor at third base. Ryan now hitting .326 on the year.
Ryan, a very consistent performer. He's also a senior on this veteran team. He had .327 during the 1983 season.
2 on, 2 outs. 2-0 Kentucky. It's 2-0. So lots of 2s out there right now. Tennessee has had 3 hits. They got 2 of them bunched in the first, but couldn't score. Got a base hit in the second and couldn't score. So the Volunteers have had 4 base runners, but haven't been able to get a run across. There's a swing and a miss. He just overpowered him that time. So Rodriguez has the count at 2 balls and a strike. It's threatening clouds are just about overhead, but they don't look like rain clouds. The western sky is clearing a bit again. 2 balls and a strike. Rodriguez trying to get out of trouble. Now it's 3-1. David Rodriguez just doesn't seem to have a lot of rhythm out there right now.
He really is struggling. You can see it in his facial expression as well as the way he's throwing the ball. He's just working real hard out there.
3-1 pitch. Oh, might have swung at a bad ball. Might have helped him there a bit as Rodriguez threw a breaking pitch and Ryan went after it. So the count is full at 3-2, and we'll watch Agnich and Selhorst take off.
You see Agnich there at second, and there's the runner at first, Selhorst. Agnich is running very wisely out there at second. He doesn't get a giant lead when the pitcher's in the stretch, but then he's very quick to move off the base so that he has a big lead by the time the ball reaches the plate so he can try to score in a single.
There go the runners, and there's a bouncing ball right at the shortstop. Ronnie Long, he'll have to throw to first. Myers stays with it, and the inning's over. Nice play by Ronnie Long as the runners were moving with the pitch, so there was no force at second, but Long made the play. Kentucky threatens in the 4th, but they don't score. No runs, a hit, 2 runners left.
Why do 5.5 million readers turn to Golf Digest magazine for instruction that works? Some of the best step-by-step lessons in
baseball team in today's game.
Unfortunately, I got here just in the top of the second inning and was out beyond the left field fence when I was almost struck with a baseball. So I got here at a bad time.
Mr. Selhorst saw you coming.
He did.
Lindsay, baseball, of course, you've done all sports, but I guess baseball is one that's really close to your heart, isn't it?
Oh, baseball, I think, is the greatest spectator sport in the world. It's a marvelous spectator sport because you can pursue it to any depth you want to. You can be superficial, or you can go with every pitch right down to the last inning. It's a marvelous way to spend an afternoon.
Somebody says baseball, one thing that makes it so magic, it doesn't matter how long a pitcher takes or how long a hitter takes to step in there. You've still got to, there's no time limit. You just play.
No time limit at all. You can sit there and talk to your neighbor and enjoy it to the fullest.
Pat Sullivan steps up to lead things off for the Volunteers in the 4th inning. 0 for 1 and misses a curveball. Lindsay, the curveball has seen many a hitter take a bus back home, hasn't it?
Well, that's true. It's sent a lot of them back there, although we were talking here just the other day to some of the Major League scouts. There have been some pretty good ball players lasted a long time who couldn't hit it.
Like?
Bobby Bonds. Bobby Bonds played in the Major Leagues a long time. Bobby Bonds couldn't hit a curveball then or now.
And he's now a hitting instructor someplace, isn't he, with the Giants, I think?
Trying to teach him how to hit a curveball.
1 ball, 1 strike, the pitch. Swing and a miss at a fastball. Well, they talked about Charlie Lau. He's one of the great hitting instructors of all time, and he couldn't hit a curveball.
No, Charlie couldn't hit much of anything, really, but he was a marvelous instructor.
Sullivan behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ronnie Long's on deck. He fouled it off. Lindsey, what are you up to now? You staying busy?
No, I'm spending a quiet time, and I just come out on the front porch. I live right across the river here, and I take a look down to Lower Hudson Field, and if they're playing, I get in the car and come over.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Pat Sullivan. Bouncing ball to short. Nice play backhanded by Campbell. Quick throw, and there's 1 out. 1 down in the 4th inning. Lindsey, shortstops, of course, is one of the toughest positions to play. Who's the best one you've ever seen, you think?
Fielding shortstop, maybe Belanger at Baltimore. Mark Belanger was outstanding. Roy McMillan in the National League was one of the better fielding shortstops. It is. It's a hard position to play, as Rafael Ramirez has been finding out in recent games.
Here's the first pitch to Ronnie Long, the Volunteer shortstop. He takes it inside. I guess what they say, soft hands and quick feet are the best thing for a shortstop. A pretty good throwing arm, I guess.
You bet.
There's another pitch inside. 2 balls, no strikes. The Braves are an interesting team. We're looking at their last couple of years. They were 7-0 and 7-1. This year they're 2-7 as of last week, or as of Friday night. Baseball is a humbling game at times, isn't it?
It's a humbling game, and you have to realize that year in and year out, it really doesn't matter all that much how you get off. You'd rather get off winning than get off losing, but it is a long season.
2 balls, no strikes, and there's a shot up the middle, base hit for Ronnie Long. Long gets Tennessee's 4th hit. 1 out in the 4th, and Long's at first base for Greg Newsom. Newsom has one of the hits. He got a hit back in the 2nd inning, a base hit up the middle. As Tennessee with the bottom of the order coming up, trying to mount an attack against Paul Kilgus. Lindsey, Kilgus is an interesting type pitcher. He throws the ball, changes speed, breaking ball now and then, just I guess, kind of a Tommy John type pitcher, huh?
That's true, and like all left-handers, he's got a good balk move over to first base.
They said, I guess, the more wins you get, the better your balk move becomes, doesn't it?
That's right.
They won't call it on Steve Carlton anymore, will they?
I saw Jerry Kuzman use one in a World Series one time, and it's the only time he used it that night, and I was working with Kurt Gowdy, and Gowdy said, "What about that move?" I said, "It's a balk, and you will never see it again tonight. Just save it, use it, that's all."
1 ball, no strikes. Thoughts on Pete Rose? He got a hit against Kuzman yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah, Pete's going to go on forever. He's never, ever going to stop. He's going to be playing this game when everybody else is gone. Be just Pete out there, and he'll be enjoying it to the fullest.
10 200-hit seasons is almost remarkable when you think about it. 1 ball pitch, fouled it off.
Well, Pete's a one-dimensional individual. There are not many of them around. That's the only thing in Pete's life. Baseball is it. First, last, and always, and that enables him just to keep right on going.
Looking at his stats this morning, he had 230 hits one season, and we were talking about Dale Murphy in his MVP year a couple of years ago, only had 168, which shows you just how remarkable the guy is.
Exactly.
1 ball, 1 strike. And that's a strike. 1 and 2. Newsom didn't think so. Terry Troutman waits on deck. Tennessee again trailing 2-0 in the 4th. There's a nubber off the end of the bat. That's a tough play for Campbell. Only 1 play to first, and he gets him there. So now 2 outs in the inning. Long moves up to second base, and Terry Troutman has the chance of knocking somebody in, but it's going to take a 2-out hit. Tennessee has had problems knocking some people in. They've left 4 on base already through the first 3 innings. Lindsey, I know you're not doing active play-by-play anymore. Do you miss it? Do you want to get back into it?
Well, I don't want to get back into it, but I miss it. Miss it terribly. And I watch a lot of baseball. I watch on cable, of course, the Chicago games and the Atlanta games, and I sit there and talk back to the announcers. And
do you critique them, or you just sort of argue with them? First pitch to Troutman is low, ball 1.
Oh, I sit there watching the Cub games and say to Harry, "Oh, come on, Harry, you know better."
Do you have any favorite announcers? Do you have guys you just love to listen to?
Well, yeah, although I haven't done a lot of listening over the years because I was working all the time they were. But I think Scully probably is the best technician we've ever had.
What makes he paints a picture? I guess they've used that phrase about him before.
Well, he does that, and he from the very start, he is a fellow who could get all the way into the game And somebody used to say, a newspaper man in Los Angeles says, you've never seen a baseball game until you've listened to Scully do one. Because he's got it all. He's got the whole thing there.
When the one count is 1 ball, no strikes on Troutman, and that's a curveball inside. We were in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago for the Lady Ball game and went to a Dodger Angels exhibition game, and I was sitting down in the loge seats, I guess, along the third baseline, and the game was getting ready to start. Here's the 2-0 pitch. That's outside 3-0. And it's just like on cue, all of a sudden all these radios started turning on, and if you don't like listening to the radio when you're watching a ball game, it got a little distracting at first until you started listening to what Scully had to say, and it's really quite enjoyable.
It started when they were playing in the Coliseum when they first went out there, and you couldn't see home plate from out in the peristyle, so you had to have a radio to tell what was happening.
3-0 pitch is down the middle, 3-1. Scully once said that so many people listened that he started having people waving things to him, and then he thought that was a little self-serving, so he quit doing that. But it is remarkable how many people take a radio and listen to him. 3-1 pitch, bouncing ball. Oh, nice play by Ely. Throws to first, and that's the inning. That's 2 great plays, one by the first baseman Clark earlier and one by Brant Ely there to end this inning. For the Volunteers in the 4th, they threaten again but don't score. No runs, a hit, 1 runner left on. We go to the 5th inning. Kentucky leads Tennessee 2-0.
Hundred hitters, and you think they're all hitters. The last inning in particular on 3 good plays got Kentucky out of that jam. 2 by Campbell at shortstop, 1 going into the hole, 1 well in front of him, so he showed versatility. And then Ely with the play at third to end the inning. And we've also seen Clark make a good play at first.
And there's a pitch outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Kentucky looking for win number 8 in the conference. That one sailed on Rodriguez a bit. 3 balls and 1 strike, and Rodriguez has thrown a lot of pitches today. He has been behind on most hitters all day long. 3-1 pitch. Fouled it off, 3-2. If you're looking ahead, Tennessee will have Myers to lead things off in the bottom of the 5th. Then the top of the order, Stamps and Martin. Full count pitch. Abel at 279, but a very good defensive player, and that's one of the reasons he's playing. Can really run, he's got a good arm. Rodriguez again with the full count pitch coming up to Wayne Abel. Ronnie Long will charge it. And there's one out.
Well, one of the great things about Ronnie Long, he's not only a great fielder, but he's a smart ball player. He knew right off the bat that he had a fast man at home plate, so he didn't waste any time. A lot of shortstops might have taken their time on that easy hopper, but along with a quick release, went ahead and threw out Wayne Abel, who's got that great speed. Abel leads his team in doubles. He's got 8 of them, even though he's 9th in the order. He is a good hitter with that great speed, and Long wasted no time throwing the good throw over to first baseman Tony Myers.
Good strong arm by Ronnie Long, 1 out in the 5th, and Rodriguez is now retired 3 in a row. Kevin Gothard steps in. He's been a tough one for Rodriguez. He's walked twice. Rodriguez has walked 3 guys this afternoon, and 2 of those have been Kevin Gothard. Campbell's waiting on deck, and that pitch is low. 2 balls, no strikes. One out in the inning. Fly ball right field, twisting away from Myers, and he can't catch up to it.
Well, you see that faint white stripe there coming away from the dugout. It's out of play after it goes there as you look at home plate umpire Bruce Dornetti.
Myers gave it a run, winds up down on the tarp along the first base line. This is the first game of a doubleheader today, and then Kentucky and Tennessee will wind this thing up tomorrow with a single game. And Tennessee has got to score some runs. Their pitching leads the Southeastern Conference in that department, but the hitting has left something to be desired. Tennessee has just not scored a lot of runs in the big games. 2-1 pitch. There's a fly ball corked into center field. Cockrell still moving, still going, but he's got room now and makes the catch on the edge of the warning track.
That's the one part of the field where there is a lot of room. 390 feet away from home plate, and Allen had to run a long way to get it, but actually it wasn't hit all that well because it was so high in the air.
But it kept carrying, and finally Cockrell was able to run it down.
Shortstop, Rick Campbell.
Allen got a good jump on the ball and made the catch in front of the warning track, now by the flagpole. 2 outs now in the 5th, and here's the shortstop, Rick Campbell. Breaking pitch stays just off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Campbell today has an infield single in the 1st, and he hit a fly ball to right in the 3rd. And he hits a fly ball to center this time. Cockrell again on the move. It's drifting to right center. Cockrell over there in one hands it. Lost his cap again, but makes the catch. So Cockrell retires Gothard and Campbell on fly balls here in the 5th. For the first time today that Rodriguez has set them down 1-2-3. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Kentucky still leads Tennessee 2-0.
To 2 divisions in baseball. In the Western Division, Mississippi State leads with a 12-3 SEC mark, followed by Alabama with a 6-4 record, LSU, Auburn, and Ole Miss. In the Eastern Division, it's Florida with a 10-3 record, Kentucky at 7-4, Vanderbilt 6-7, Tennessee 6-9, and Georgia in the cellar with a 3-9 mark. Bob?
Kilgus goes up against Myers, and the first pitch is laced to center field for a base knock. So Tony, who got up to a very, very slow start, is finally starting to hit the ball and got that one very sharply back up the middle. So Tennessee has its first batter up in the inning on base. This is the 3rd inning that's happened, the 3rd out of the 5 innings that the Volunteers have had their leadoff man on, but they have not been able to score yet. Here's Tommy Stamps, who was perfect today, a base hit in the 1st. He walked in the 3rd. Myers, pretty good speed at first. Breaking ball is over for a strike. Two nothing Cats. Volunteers now lead them in hits 5-4. Pitch is high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alfonso Martin waits on deck. No activity in either bullpen. There's a pitch outside. Some of the fraternities along the first baseline are starting to assemble on the porch, and they are got some Pride of the Southland band records going to get a little pep rally going, maybe to get the Volunteers ignited here in the 5th. There's a sock down the left field line that is going to be off the wall on a hop. Around third comes Meyer. They're going to flag him in. Here comes the relay to the plate, and he is going to be safe as the ball kicks into the Volunteer dugout. The run scores. Stamps winds up at third base, and Tennessee now has cut the lead in half. Good base running by Myers. They're going to leave Stamps at third base as the ball did not go into the dugout, I don't think, but it was dead as soon as it hit the manager there.
Well, and the question, too, is just where was Stamps when the ball went past there? The ball is hit well, a little bit in on the handle, but he got a lot of power for not hitting it on the meat of the bat, right at the base of that 350-foot sign. Myers with good speed. I was really pleased to see Coach White had given him the green light because there really was a play at home, but Myers came in hard with a Pete Rose head-first slide, and the ball skipped on past the catcher, Selhorst, and Stamps remains on at third now with Martin at the plate.
I'd say, well, with a good throw from Campbell on the cutoff, they might have had a good shot at getting Myers to the plate, but the ball bounced very, very hard in front of the plate. And the ball just kicked over. There's the ball going over his head. And Selhorst would have had him, I think.
You see where the ball actually did beat him home, but it's a kind of play like that that can really ignite a team.
Here's Alfonso Martin. A little fly ball, left field line might be tough. Coming over to make the play is going to be Abel. Tagging and staying right there at third base is Tommy Stamps.
Well, as it turned out, the throw was very high and wide of the mark, and it could have been a close play at the plate. But really, the fly ball itself was too shallow to give him the green light.
So Abel makes the play and holds Alfonso or Tommy Stamps at third base. So now Bobby Gaylor, who is 0 for 2 today, steps in. Yeah, Alfonso had the right idea, just didn't hit it far enough. So Kilgus trying to wiggle off the hook here in the 5th inning. Stamps leads from third in the pitch. Oh, looked like he might have been thinking about a squeeze bunt, but Gaylor took a breaking ball over.
Looked like either he was taking the pitch or perhaps a safety squeeze because the runner wasn't moving, but if he got the good bunt down past the pitcher on the right side, we could have seen Stamps try to come on home.
Alan Cockrell waits on deck. Tying run at third. Pitch out. They're maybe thinking the bunt was on again. Interesting philosophy by Kilgus. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another pitch out.
Well, that's going to be a real help to Bobby Gaylor. I think what Coach White is thinking now with that infield drawn in, Gaylor's got a good shot of at least getting a sacrifice fly to tie up this game. So the squeeze has been taken off, and now he's way ahead of the count and perhaps get the good pitch to do just that.
2-1. That's a breaking pitch inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Well, now if you're a guess hitter, it's 3 balls and 1 strike with Cockrell on deck. Gaylor might just sit here and wait for a fastball. If he doesn't get it, just lay off it. 3-1. Did it hit him?
Yeah, got him on the foot, I believe, Bob.
Are they going to say a foul ball or? Now there's going to be a discussion. The ball.
Well, it was a sharp breaking pitch that he didn't swing at, it looked like to me. And the ball, from the expression on Gaylor's face, hit him in the foot, but the umpire's not going to give it to him. What they're going to say is that he swung the bat and it's a strike, 3-2.
Well, let's see. Gaylor steps back in there, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Gaylor didn't argue much about it, neither did Whited, so it was obviously a good call. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
It could have hit him and he swung, which makes it a strike.
3-2 pitch. There's a base hit to left field. Gaylor comes through with 1 out, and the Volunteers have tied it at 2-all.
Regardless of what the previous pitch was, which I think we've figured out now was a swing and the ball hit him on the foot, Gaylor comes right back with a ringing single past shortstop. He went down with it, got a fastball low and away, went down with it, and he gets a big RBI for Tennessee. And we're going to see the coach for Kentucky come on out to have a chat with Kilgus.
Coach Keith Madison is going to come out and talk with his lefty, as now Alan Cockrell steps up with a runner at first base. And 1 out here in the 5th inning as the Volunteers have rallied to tie it. 3 hits in the inning. I thought they might have given an error to Campbell on that throw earlier on the play when Stamps hit the double to allow Stamps to get to third base, but they have not given anybody an error. So,
well, there was no consequence. The throw did get by him, but there was no consequence, so there's no error.
Cockrell steps in. He struck out twice. He takes a breaking pitch over. Sullivan is on deck. Tennessee is tied it at 2-all. Tennessee out hitting them 7-4 now. Check swing, quick throw to first. Not in time. Clark blocked the ball.
Gaylor is second on the team in stolen bases with 7 out of 10 attempts. Second to, surprisingly, Alan Cockrell, who's 10 out of 10.
1 ball, 1 strike on Tennessee's big power hitter, Alan Cockrell. Got a breaking ball, gets by the catcher, Selhorst. And now the go-ahead runs at second base. Wild pitch. And Gaylor now is parked at second with a go-ahead run if Cockrell can get him around.
Well, and that's Kilgus's bread and butter pitch, that slider that breaks inside on the knees of these right-handed hitters. He struck out Cockrell twice with it, so it appears that Kilgus may be losing that pitch. And if he does, he's not going to last much longer.
There's going to be some activity now started up in the Kentucky bullpen. 2 balls and 1 strike on Alan Cockrell.
And I think that Coach Madison asked his shortstop, Campbell, to come on in and have a chat with Kilgus, mostly to delay a little bit and get some of his relief pitchers in action.
Chris Carroll is the guy in the Kentucky pen who's going to start throwing. Carroll, a right-hander. They say he's like a Dan Quisenberry type guy, underhand submariner. 2 balls and 1 strike. You got first base open. Do you walk Cockrell here on the situation and pitch to Sullivan, who's hitting 175? Apparently going to pitch to Cockrell, but I'm sure they will pitch him very, very carefully. 2 balls and a strike. Curveball, low, 3-1.
Well, I'm sure that's the strategy. Even though you got 3-1 here, Cockrell probably will not see a fastball.
With first base open, you can bet on it. 1 out in the inning. Here's the breaking ball for a strike, 3-2. One out. That's Gaylor down at second base, taking his lead. Strike 3 called.
Well, what happens when you get about 12 breaking pitches is that when you do finally get a fastball, it surprises you. That fastball didn't have much on it, but the fact that it wasn't breaking and hit that inside corner fooled Allen, and he took it thinking it probably would be breaking inside on him. It was a called third strike right on the inside edge of the plate.
So Cockrell has struck out for the 3rd time this afternoon, and all 3 times with the runner in scoring position. Now Sullivan steps in.
You've got to give Kilgus credit on that pitch, Bob. It's
He has
an
a good
excellent
pitch.
pitch.
Great pitch. Sullivan nubs one off the end of the bat. Sullivan is 0 for 2, a fly ball to center, a bouncing ball to short in the 4th. So Kilgus comes up with a big pitch when he has to. He now has 5 strikeouts in the game. Ronnie Long's on deck. It's going to take a 2-out hit from Sullivan to get the run home. But Tennessee has tied it here in the 5th. Kilgus shakes off one. Now he's got one he likes. That one was outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Myers led the inning off with a base hit, a single, then Stamps that went right down the line in left field. The ball bounced up against the fence. Myers came all the way around from first to score, and Stamps wound up at third base. Then he scored on a Bobby Gaylor base hit to tie it at 2-all. He swung through a fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kilgus's big advantage so far today, he's been able to get out ahead of these guys and has stayed consistently in front of the hitters. Rodriguez, on the other hand, has been quite the opposite. 1-2 pitch coming up. Popped him up foul. Way out of play. And the count holds at 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kentucky with a run in the 1st, a run in the 2nd. Tennessee with 2 runs here in the 5th inning. Sullivan, a junior college transfer from Rancho Cordova, California. He takes it on the inside edge. A strike three called again.
Same pitch Cockrell got, Bob.
Back-to-back strikeouts from Kilgus with the go-ahead run standing at second base. Nice bit of pitching there by Mr. Kilgus. Fifth inning for the Volunteers. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 left. Tennessee has left at least 1 runner on in every single inning. We go to the 6th, tied 2-2. No errors. Kentucky with 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. The Volunteers now have left 6 runners on through the first 5 innings of the game. Kentucky has left 3 on base. The meat of the order coming up for Kentucky here in the 6th inning. And again, here's David Voss.
Thank you, Bob Kessling. Grant Ely will lead things off, followed by Randy Clark and Mike Agnich, and that is the heart of the order for Kentucky. But there's new life now for Richard Rodriguez. Rodriguez has given up 4 hits, and he's walked 3 over the first 5 innings. But he has shown signs of brilliance, and he's shown signs that he doesn't have the effectiveness that he did during his 1983 banner year. And right now there's pressure on him as Tennessee is tied with Kentucky 2-2 in a crucial 3-game series. He gets the first one over for a strike. This is a 7-inning game, first game of a doubleheader. There'll be a 9-inning single game tomorrow beginning at 1:30. And called strike 2. A couple of pitches on the outside corner, and that's good to see. Rodriguez has that good control. Ely singled in the first and hit into a double play in the 3rd inning. Ooh, that didn't miss by much. Tennessee has rallied in the bottom half of the 5th inning to tie this game 2-2. Bouncing ball. Newsom charges at second. Over to Myers for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up the cleanup man for Kentucky, Randy Clark.
You know, David, that was a much tougher play than it looked like. I mean, Newsom had to really charge the ball and put the brakes on as the high hopper came over the mound. Now watch him come up here and just put the brakes on. Set himself and throw quickly. He's got to get something on it, and he just did. Nice play.
And another outside corner fastball from Rodriguez. He's been right there 5 straight pitches. That one's low for a ball, 1-1. Clark has 12 home runs on the season. He didn't do a double play in the first and struck out in the 4th so far here today.
You know, David, you take away the home run that Selhorst hit to lead off the 2nd inning, and over the last 4 1/3, Rodriguez has only allowed 1 hit.
And that despite the fact he's been behind the hitters, but here so far here in this inning now he's been doing much better, although now it's 3-1. 3-1 to Randy Clark. Clark comes from Manatee Junior College, Bob, and I tell you, they really produce him down there. A good junior college system in Florida, of course, with the good weather down there, but Manatee in particular consistently producing pro prospects as well as major college prospects for SEC teams. A high fly ball. Martin seems to have a beat on it in left, and he takes it in. Ball was a mile up, but not too far out. Rodriguez has 2 gone here in the 6th inning.
Rodriguez now has retired 7 straight. Again, a good breaking pitch, a slider it looked like. And Clark just got under it, and Martin had to stay with it. A tricky breeze blowing, and the fly balls have been kind of an adventure so far this afternoon.
Kind of like Candlestick Park. Agnich stands in, the designated hitter. He's 1 for 2 today.
Not quite as cold.
2 strikes now to Agnich. Rodriguez looking sharper as the game goes on. Hard bouncing ball, long moves to his left. Nice play. Both teams are playing excellent ball in the infield. For Rodriguez, it's 3 up and 3 down in the 6th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. So Tennessee, looking sharper as this game progresses, has tied Kentucky 2-2 as we move in to the bottom half of the 6th inning. to play the previous inning, leads off the inning at bat, and that means Ronnie Long. And Long has been playing good defense for a number of years at Tennessee. He's the captain of this team, and this year he's hitting better, 264 coming into this ball game. Bottom half of the 6th inning from Lower Hudson Field on the campus of the University of Tennessee. I'm David Voss along with Bob Kessling, bringing you the action in the first of a 3-game series between the Wildcats of Kentucky and the Vols of Tennessee. Long moved that average up to 269 with a hit in the 4th inning. He flew out to right field back in the 2nd. Swung on and fouled down the 3rd base line. John Whited boots it. 0-1 the count to Long. There's Coach Whited. The only coach in SEC history to take his team to 2 consecutive SEC playoffs during his first 2 years as coach. Swung on and missed. Strike 2. So Coach Madison sticking with Paul Gilgis as we move into the bottom of the 6th. Although he tired some in the 5th, he does have his ace reliever Carroll warmed up already, although he's sitting down now. Foul off to the side. Good crowd on hand, especially considering there's threatening rain clouds, and they have been threatening in and out all day. It looks though they'll get this doubleheader in because most of the rain clouds are short-lived as they sail over Hudson Field. Another high foul ball first base side. And the fraternity is giving both the umpire and the first baseman, Randy Clark, down there a hard time. Kind of a tradition here at Hudson Field to have the fraternities loaded on the walls and the roofs watching the ball game as they're just off the foul line behind the first base dugout. There you see the fraternities. A little basketball going on. Good day to be on campus if you like sports. A whole lot going on. Outside, dogwood relays going on at the track, and tennis going on at the varsity tennis courts between Vanderbilt and UT. 2-2 count now to Long. Swung on, bouncing ball in the hole, and the Vols have a runner aboard here in the 6th. A bouncing ball just managed to squeeze through Ely and Campbell, third baseman and shortstop for Kentucky. It'll bring up Greg Newsom. Here you see it again. Just a bouncing ball to manage to find a hole. Both of these infields have just played excellent baseball today. Shortstop Campbell for Kentucky and Long for Tennessee. The third baseman have made some good plays for both teams, and the first baseman for both teams have come up with some good infield plays. Newsom 248 now. Left-handed swinger. We'll see if the bunt is on, and it is. First baseman was charging. Clark throws to second, and he drops the baseball. He's safe. An excellent play by Clark, but the shortstop Campbell dropped the ball. A big break for Tennessee as Clark was charging and was able to get it in plenty of time to make the play at second, but it's dropped. Here's the play from Clark. Not a bad throw. It could have been higher, but not a bad throw. Got there on a fly. Looked like maybe he was trying for the double play before he got it, and Long with a hard slide made sure he didn't pick it up in time.
Score that a sacrifice for Greg Newsom and an error on the shortstop Campbell. So Tennessee in business here again in the 6th inning.
It'll bring up Terry Troutman, 269 in the year. And a big situation here now. Of course, you get a run and 3 outs, and you come home with a victory. Another bunt, and it's fouled. Now with runners on at first and second, it's probably a sure bet that Troutman's going to try to lay it down. Clark, though, at first really gets in there hard, and Troutman should probably either try to drop it down third or perhaps push it past Clark. Again, number 30, Carroll, throwing in the Kentucky bullpen, their ace reliever. You see the runner Long at second. Ball high. Shortstop Campbell playing some games with Long. That time, third baseman Ely charged, and Campbell raced over to third to cover in case Troutman tried to lay it down the third base line. Chances are this time they'll do it differently, and the third baseman will hold. Clark moving way in from first base. And the bunt is again fouled off. Tennessee has had a tough time getting a good bunt down today. They've attempted several times, and although that last one was scored as a sacrifice, it wasn't a real good bunt since they did have a play at second base. Now the count moves to 1-2. We'll see if Coach White takes the bunt off or not. Troutman might still be bunting with 2 strikes on him, as it is a definite bunt situation with nobody out, and you need 1 run to take the lead. Here's the pitch. He wasn't bunting. Takes inside, 2-2. Terry Troutman serving as designated hitter in today's game. Only has 24 at-bats coming into this ball game, and he's 0 for 2 today. But he now finds himself in a critical situation. Tony Myers on deck, and he's got a hit today and a run scored. Swung on and fouled. Tennessee trying to stay alive in the Eastern Division race. Must win this game and perhaps the whole 3-game set against Kentucky in order to stay alive. If they do, even though they have a 6-9 record coming into this game, they do have a shot at that second place finish and a berth in the SEC playoffs. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Inside for a ball. We're going to go to full count. Kyrgios really wanted that one. Troutman checks with Coach White in the third base coach's box. Long at second, Newsom at first. High foul ball straight back, no play. Ronnie Long started the inning by singling between short and third. And when Greg Newsom put it down, first baseman Clark got it right away, had a good throw to second, but it was dropped. Both runners were safe. That's where we stand here in the bottom of the 6th with our score tied 2-2. Rodriguez looking very strong last inning. Probably needs just a run or two, and then 3 outs and this one's over. 7-inning game and the first of a twin bill. And another foul ball. Troutman battling. Kyrgios throwing a lot of strikes. There you see the runner at second, Ronnie Long. Troutman ready for the 3-2 pitch. Line drive, foul down the third base line. That breaking pitch in on the handle, and Troutman really jerked it. Carroll, the relief specialist for Kentucky, warming up. If Troutman can get the big hit here, we'll probably see Carroll. Again, the 3-2 pitch. He squares around as if the bunt. It's a called strike 3. In a surprise move, Coach White had put the bunt back on after that foul. The pitch must have hit the inside corner, and Troutman goes down on strikes. Tough play for Tennessee. Well, they tried to change the strategy. I think probably Coach Whitehead's feelings was that they had stopped suspecting the bunt. The third baseman and first baseman were playing back, so they tried to surprise him and put it back on. And the hard fastball in the inside corner knocks Troutman back, and he gets to strike out. Now it's up to Tony Myers.
He almost got his chin taken off, too, didn't he?
He must have really squared around right on top of that plate for that to be a strike. Tony Myers with a big hit in the 5th. Got that rally going. Scored a run with a head-first slide. Now he's up with 1 gone. That's low and inside. Kyrgios really struggling now.
Carroll is ready in the bullpen, but Kentucky is staying with Kyrgios.
A little bit of a surprise, too, because Kyrgios has not had mastery of his pitches the last 2 innings. And Carroll supposedly is an excellent relief pitcher. High fly ball to center. Going deep, deep is Knox, and he's going to make the catch. Here's the tag. Long going for third. The throw is off the mark, and he'll be safe. Well, Scott Knox, the center fielder for Kentucky, has also been impressive. He gets a good jump on the ball, and he knows how to go back. He's done that a couple of times today. Myers got pretty good wood on that. It was deep enough to move Long up, but now again it takes a 2-out hit.
As a matter of fact, he hit it very, very well. The ball was blown from the right side over more towards center, which maybe kept it in the ballpark because Myers really jumped on that one. But a nice play by Knox to get the ball back in quickly, but Ronnie Long, good heads-up base running, gets over to third where a wild pitch or an assortment of different things might be able to get him in.
And you got your leading hitter, Tommy Stamps, up. But of course, you got to look back to the unsuccessful bunt. That is easily a sacrifice fly if we'd gotten the bunt down and moved Long over to first in the previous hitter. Stamps takes a called strike. Bunt is so important. That wind may have held up Myers' ball too a little bit, Bobby, although it's blown across the field.
Well, I think he just blew it more towards center field a little bit.
Did he go?
Yeah, he
yes. Did. Home plate umpire Donetti asking for help, and Mike Sharkey gives it to him. So now he's behind 0-2.
Well, Stamps didn't argue much about it. I think he knew he went. He tried to hold it but couldn't do it.
All the bat has to do is cross that plate. Runners at first and third now. Long at third, Newsom at first. 2 gone in the inning. Swung on, line drive. Dropped by Ryan at second, and a run will score. Yes. Terry Ryan, with a couple of key errors in this inning, has allowed Tennessee to score a run and take the lead 3-2.
Well, it's a hot shot, but in that situation, he's got to knock that ball down, and he didn't do it. And it's very difficult right in between hops, and it short hopped him and got right by. So 1 error by Ryan, 1 error by the shortstop Campbell, and Tennessee leads at 3-2.
That's right. Thanks for correcting me on that. But that ball actually got to him on the fly. It was dribbled off the end of the glove, very much like the ball off Campbell's glove on the throw to second. And Alfonso Martin will step in and try to get more for the Vols. Inside for a ball.
The ball looked like it kind of fooled Ryan. I don't know whether or not he thought it was hit harder than it was, and maybe it was going to get to him on the fly. But if he would have taken a step up, he might have been able to catch it easily. But as it was, Tennessee gets a break.
Bouncing ball to short. Campbell has to move to his right and can't find the handle. So a Kentucky infield that you couldn't find enough superlatives for in the first 5 innings suddenly falls apart here in the 6th. That'll load the bases for Bobby Gaylor.
You're looking at Campbell, who has only made 5 errors all season long. Suddenly he has 2 in 1 inning. And checking the second baseman, Mr. Ryan. Where is he on the list? There he is. Mr. Ryan has only committed 4 all season. So you got 2 guys that have been very dependable. Now, this is a pretty tough play, though. This is Campbell, even if he gets to the ball, I don't know whether he's got anybody to throw out, and Campbell just gets a bad hop. It's not the smoothest infield in the Southeastern Conference, and Kentucky has found that out this afternoon.
And his vision may have been blocked by the runner there. Now here's Gaylor. Inside for a ball.
And they're still staying with Kilgus.
Gaylor got a big RBI single last inning, and he's got another opportunity here.
Carroll's thrown about 4 innings down in the bullpen.
3-2 Tennessee with the bases loaded. Swung on and missed. He's still got that slider working. 3 errors in the inning for Kentucky. One and one now the count. And that's a called strike 2, 1-2.
There is some activity on in the Tennessee bullpen. We'll try and pick up his number.
As you look at Bobby Gaylor at home plate. 3 runners aboard. Tennessee with 8 hits today. And it's jammed in on the handle and fouled hard into the Kentucky dugout.
That scattered him. Has to be a very disappointing inning for Kentucky. The run is unearned, and anything else that scores will be unearned. They really should have been out of the inning. if Campbell holds on to the bunt by Newsom, then Kentucky is out of the inning. But as it is, that keeps it alive now, and Tennessee's got a chance to really break this thing open. DeLucia is down in the bullpen warming up in case he's needed. DeLucia, the right-hander.
He's a relief ace for Tennessee. 1-2 is the count to Gaylor now, with the bases loaded and 2 gone. High ball 2. Gaylor got a big RBI single last inning.
Kentucky, in case you're thinking ahead with us, has the bottom of the order coming up in the 7th inning. Selhorst, Knox, and Ryan.
But of course, Selhorst was the one who got the home run for Kentucky's second run. There's a ball outside, 3-2 and 2 counts. So we're going to see the merry-go-round now, Bob.
They'll be breaking with a pitch.
We'll see if Kilgus goes to the stretch. If he takes the full windup, it's going to be a real advantage, particularly for Tom Stamps at second base, as he'll get a big jump. He's going to work from the stretch. All the runners will be going. Called strike 3. Once again, Kilgus hits that inside corner. Gaylor doesn't like the call. He's done that several times today when he had 3 balls and 2 strikes on the hitter and hit that inside corner. He did it to Cockrell earlier.
That's 4 called strike 3s, too.
But it's a big inning for Tennessee as they score 1 run on 1 hit. Kentucky commits 3 errors, and there's 3 men left on base. We move now to the top half of the 7th inning. 3 more outs needed for Tennessee with a score, the Vols 3 and the Wildcats 2. Well, we've essentially seen 2 ball games. The early one, the first 4 innings, led by Kentucky. The second ball game, the last 2, led by Tennessee. Richard Rodriguez has new life. He's picked up steam, and suddenly he finds himself in a position to win with just 3 outs. We move out to the top half of the 7th inning. Here to wrap it up is Bob Kessling.
Thanks, David. 7th inning. Selhorst, Knox, and Ryan, and Rodriguez has been very tough. That's Mark Lipsius in right field. He replaces Tommy Stamps. Everybody else stays the same. Lipsius, one of the better defensive outfielders on the team. As Selhorst, who is perfect today, a home run and a walk, steps in and he takes a pitch high. Rodriguez has put him down 1-2-3 the past 2 innings. He has retired the last 8 to face him. He has only allowed 1 hit since the 2nd inning. There's a pitch outside, but again, he continues to fall behind the hitters. He has been behind just about all day long, but except for the 1st and 2nd innings, it really hasn't hurt him that much. He pours a fastball outside, 3-0. The worst thing you want to do with a 1-run lead in the last inning is to walk the leadoff guy. Here's the 3-0. That's to the back. No, that's a strike on the outside edge. Went to the backstop, but Sullivan just missed it. If Kentucky doesn't score, Kilgus will get the loss. Kilgus really battled, didn't have his great stuff today, but he really hung in there, and his defense really let him down in the 6th inning. 3-1 pitch. That's down the chute, 3-2. Tennessee struck for 8 hits against him. There's a shot at the second baseman. Bounces off Newsom. He's got to hurry. Didn't get him. That might be a base hit.
Yeah, a very tough play. At least Newsom stayed in front of that, took it on his chest. But the ball bounced far enough away that that's what took too much time to get the runner at first. We're going to take another look at it. Well hit ball. Newsom stays low, which is what you should do. And there's the problem. The ball just bounced too far away from him. So that is a hit. And there's a runner at board.
Clint Arnold is going to come in and run for Selhorst. Arnold, an outfielder, 5'11" out of Dayton, Ohio, 179 pounds. And so he'll be on at first base, and now Kentucky's got to play for the 1 run. They're also going to send a pinch hitter up. No, they're not. I'm sorry. Scott Knox. That is Knox. Standing up, hitting .273. Kentucky going to play for the 1 run, but Knox takes a strike on the outside edge. So Arnold on at first. Clint Arnold replacing Selhorst. Arnold made no attempt to steal. Kentucky trying to get him in the scoring position. Tennessee looks for the bunt. There it is, popped it up, and the ball is going to be caught by Gaylor coming in. So again, Kentucky fails to move the runner up. Both teams have been atrocious with their bunting today, but that one really hurt Kentucky.
Boy, Tennessee had 3 players in a position to catch that pop, too. Myers was in so far from first that he possibly could have caught it, and Rodriguez was near it. A low pitch that gets well up in the air. Bobby Gaylor called for it, and the others backed off.
Really, you would seem that would seem to be a pretty easy pitch to bunt. You just got to slap it right into the ground, but Knox couldn't do it. Here's Terry Ryan now stepping up. Arnold at first base. Rodriguez drives him back and throws high. Ryan today is 0 for 2. Hit a ball to third. He bounced out to shortstop. Wayne Abel waits on deck. Tennessee's infield now looks for the double play ball. Ronnie Long in a couple of steps at shortstop. Outside, 2-0. Arnold has only stolen 1 base so far this season in his 1 attempt. Quick throw to first. They got him. Arnold gets caught leaning. And now they're 2 outs.
I don't think he was really stealing on that one, but he's a fresh player just brought in from the bench. Hasn't seen Rodriguez's good move. I think Richard had saved it. He hadn't used it but once or twice, although he's thrown over to first many times. A lot of times that's what a pitcher will do. They'll play with you over there at first, and then all of a sudden give you that good move. And that's not what a pinch runner is supposed to do, Bob.
So Arnold is picked off, and Rodriguez now in the driver's seat. Ahead in the count, or behind in the count, excuse me, 2-0. Now it's 2-1. So Kentucky tried to mount a threat, but Arnold was picked off, and Rodriguez 2 strikes away. There's a shot to second. Newsom bounces off his chest, and that's going to be a boot. Newsom again took one off his chest. That time couldn't come up with it. That'll be the first error of the game for the Volunteers.
Well, and the pickoff looms that much bigger. I wonder if that pickoff move, Bob, is what Lindsey Nelson was talking about, the 1 balk a season.
Yeah. Those lefties save up those balks, and I think well, pretty good move by Rodriguez. We'd have to see a replay to make sure it wasn't a balk, but lefties have that tendency to get away with them. First error of the game for Tennessee, and now Wayne Abel has had a tough day at the plate. 0 for 2. Steps in. Rodriguez drives the runner back and pours a fastball over.
He drove Terry Ryan past first base. He was on top of the bag, which is another benefit, of course, of the good pickoff move. Not that you just get outs, but there's no way that Ryan could have gotten any kind of jump there as he was going back to first on the pitch. Coach Whited now comes on out to have a little chat with Richard Rodriguez, probably talking a little bit about how to pitch to Wayne Abel and perhaps giving DeLucia time to warm up. He's been throwing down there for a while, though. He's probably ready.
He might just tell Rodriguez, don't overthrow the ball, don't lay one over the plate, because this guy could hit one out. Be careful with him, but go after him.
And don't worry too much about this runner at first. I don't think you're going to steal in this situation. Of course, with 2 outs, you don't have to worry about the bunt. So get the hitter.
Rodriguez ahead in the count 0-1. Now it's 1-1. Top of the order, Kevin Gothard waits on deck, but Abel's got to keep it alive with 2 outs. Tennessee trying to climb back into the race in the Eastern Division. That's low. 2 balls, 1 strike. Since the second inning, Rodriguez allowed the leadoff home run to Selhorst. He since then has allowed only 2 hits, 1 of those in this inning. Fly ball, right field, should be easy for Lipsius, and the ball game's over. Richard Rodriguez, a gutty performance after a shaky start. He comes on and shuts out Kentucky the last 5 innings of the game as the Volunteers beat Kentucky in the first game of this 3-game SEC Eastern Division Series. Tennessee a winner today over Kentucky, 3-2. Back to tell you about today's game in just a moment. Volunteers a 3-2 winner over the Wildcats, as Tennessee now improves its SEC record to 7-9, and Kentucky drops to 7-5. Totals on the game: Tennessee 3 runs on 8 hits. The Volunteers made 1 error, and the Volunteers left 9 runners on base, but those didn't really hurt that much as Tennessee was able to come up with the 3 runs. Kentucky 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 errors, and those really cost Kentucky the ball game, as they all came in the 6th inning when Tennessee was able to score the go-ahead run. The Wildcats left 4 runners on base. Winning pitcher is Richard Rodriguez. He's now 2-3 on the year as he has his 3rd complete game of the season. Paul Kilgus deserved a better fate, but he loses his 4th game of the season against 2 victories as Tennessee wins it 3-2. And David, you look back, it's a good comeback win for the Volunteers after a very, very shaky start.
Well, and it looked like they were going to have the same problems that they've been having, which is not getting the runs after they were on base. Although they had a lot left on base, things started to click in the 5th and 6th inning. I think we got to look at Tom Stamps, who was on base 4 times, 2 hits. He was on in an error and a walk, and he scored a crucial run in the 5th. And also Ronnie Long was 2 for 3, and Tony Myers got a key hit in that 5th inning for the Vols. The big disappointment, Alan Cockrell with 3 strikeouts, and you hope he can come back and start producing more RBIs for the Vols.
Stamps an RBI double in the 5th. Gaylor tied it with an RBI single. And then in the 6th inning, Tennessee scored on the 3 errors as Stamps got 1 to go, as Tennessee wins it today by a score of 3-2. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Again, the Volunteers a winner over Kentucky 3-2 here at Hudson Field. For David Voss, I'm Bob Kessling. So long from Hudson Field.